Rain makes both natural bath and beauty products as well as gifts and crafts. These gifts and crafts are made largely by CMT workers, which are women living in the community working from home. We have empowered them by giving them training on needlework, so now they can produce products for Rain and other people too. We manufacture our products in our newly built solar-powered factory in Paarl. The extra virgin cold pressed olive oil used in our products is also produced on this farm.
Hi, I am Milette Richardson.
I'm Colleen Ushun.
Okay.
I'm Dot.
Hi, my name is Ofente.
So I'm the supply chain manager.
I'm working at the filling and the labeling department. I'm managing the finished goods stockroom at Rain.
I work for Rain Retail. I help to assist with the Rain Retail shops in Gauteng.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to see you all here this morning. I'm really looking forward to our session today. We're talking about all things fair, fair price, fair treatment, and fair trade, because the trade part of it is what makes all these things sustainable. We were watching that video for all the women who are working at Rain, and I couldn't help but smile because their smiles were just so infectious. You just heard about what they had to say, saw all these products, and you automatically smiled because that's how, that's exactly how they were coming across on camera with their big smiles. And really, that's what we need right now. Our last session, which was on Monday of this week, I had the pleasure of speaking to somebody whose name, coincidentally, was Rain. I was speaking to Rain from Turkle Trading. Turkle Trading is a brand in South Africa that is part of the World Fair Trade Organization shops and products. And one of the things that she said when we were having our discussion was, if you're going to buy something, especially now when you feel like, oh my gosh, I need something that's going to lift my mood a little bit, why not buy something that will not only lift your mood a little bit, create, go ahead and satisfy whatever it is you need it for, whether it was coffee or tea or, lotion, because you needed it, that was fine. But if it was going to lift your mood, how exciting when you make that product, when you pick a product, knowing that it's also lifting somebody else, because that particular product has a tag on it, and that tag could be this one, right? For WFTO. It could be a tag for Fair Trade International. It could be a tag for Forest Stewardship Council, Marine Stewardship Council. It could be a recycling tag. It could be Rainforest Alliance. It could be OOPS certified. It could be all these different tags that are part and parcel of this unified, conscious consumer movement that says, listen, we're going to make choices that reflect our values. And in doing so, we know that we're also making sure that whoever has grown that product, whoever has made that product is being treated fairly, is being given a fair price for it, and even the planet as a whole is being looked after. So when we say that our hashtag for these conversations, and not just a conversation, but really truly it should be part of our response to the SDGs around responsible consumption, we should say hashtag I choose fair. I choose fair trade, I choose fair price, I choose fair treatment. So we're continuing with this conversation. As I said, that's what we had talked about on Monday with Rain and with Musa from WFTO in South Africa. And today I have the pleasure of having back some guests in the studio, two of whom we've had previously. And I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. And before they do that, and as they go through that, we also have a very special thing that's happening today. And we'll get to that in a bit. But first, let's get one of our return guests to talk a little bit about himself. And Masimbonge, welcome to the studio. Tell our listeners about you in case they didn't catch you on the first round when you were in the studio with us.
Hi. Thank you, Wangeshi, for welcoming me back here. My name is Masimbonge Vuma. I'm from Sahaba Holdings. I'm a farmer. We have been in business for 2 years now. So we are farming here in South Africa doing, there's a new term that I just heard, which is farming God's way. So that's basically what we are doing, farming organic food. So that's it.
Sorry, we're doing e-learning. I'm at home and I have my daughter in my ear telling me that we need to arrange something for her, which I will do. But prior to that, Joseph, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about African Monitor. Who are you guys? What is it that you're doing? How does all of this fit in with fairness and fair trade and fair price? So, Joseph, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much for welcoming me. When you just say that you are home, I really understand. Things have changed. Sometimes we need to tell kids, please give me a chance. But thank you so much for having me. My name is Joseph Eliabsan Maniragena, and I work for African Monitor, which is a Pan-African organization. We are based in South Africa, but we work into selected African countries where we work with grassroots communities to try and bring their voice so that their voice can be heard. I'm a youth development activist, and I'm a social entrepreneur, but also I'm, as the youngest call it, I'm a foodie. I do promote healthy eating. And one of the food I like to promote is eating fish as a healthy meal. So maybe I will speak about African Monitor later on, and also one of the projects we are working with WFTO. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, then. Welcome to the studio, Joseph. And it's also my pleasure to welcome back Fred Masinde from Undugu Fair Trade. For those who are familiar with World Fair Trade Organization, actually his name and Undugu Fair Trade are synonymous with World Fair Trade Organization. So it is an absolute pleasure to have you back, Fred. Please introduce yourself to our listeners today and tell us a little bit about Undugu Shops.
Thank you very much, Wangeshi and WFTO Africa and Middle East for having me back on this discussion. I believe that Wangeshi has done most of the introduction. My name is Fred Masinde, and I work for Undugu Fair Trade Limited. It's a social enterprise based in Nairobi, and we reach out to about 800 artisans across the country, doing various kind of home accessory gifts and fashion products. We are also doing essential oils, which we trade them under Undugu Organics. So for Joseph, who is promoting those kind of products, we also have a section that is actually doing a lot of that, and we are very much impressed on how the market is picking up with it. So I've been working for Undugu for about 30 years, and mainly in the fair trade industry or fair trade enterprise community. So I'm very familiar with the fair trade, where we started from, up to where we are at the moment. I've also served on the board of IFAT and then WFTO, and we still work because we know that the work of fair trade has just scratched. We need to do much more, and that is
absolutely
the topic of today, which is that I think that is going to be the major thing that we need to engage in for the next coming years, since we've put all the infrastructure in place, and it's just a takeoff so that we reach to each and every consumer. Thank you very much. Looking forward for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred. We're looking forward to it too. And it's my pleasure to have with us today Tatiana Karanja. So Tatiana, welcome to the studio. I just said to our listeners who are joining us just now that today we have something really special happening. So even as you introduce yourself, you need to tell everybody about where you are and what you're going to be showing us. Karibu, Tatiana. Tell us about you.
So my name is Tatiana. I am a blogger, but professionally I'm a photographer, and I guess you could call me a content consumer. And today we are at Kazuri Beads, which is an amazing company. Kazuri Beads is a company that makes ceramic beads. They make pottery. Right now I'm inside the factory, and basically, I don't know if you could. I'm in the shop right now with everybody. And
yes, we can see the ladies.
Yes, it's all ladies, by the way, 340, over 340. This basically started as something two women who were single parents, and now it has grown to employing over 340 different participants. All of them women, most of them to be single mothers. So this is an amazing effort. I mean, this is giving so many parents jobs, and they're making amazing products. So here I will show you a bit. So yeah, we're today, and this is the factory, and now I'm going to have the finished product, so you can see a few of their necklaces, plates, and all of that kind of stuff. And basically, I'm taking you on this tour, so it would be important to say that this is one of the reasons that I have been supporting the World Trade Fair Organization, just because of empowering women. I am now a mother of 2 kids, and I have found it extremely important to be able to empower women and to teach my kids about that. So this is why a company like WFTO and Kazuri Beads mean so much to me. And here I have some of their finished products. I don't know if you can see.
The colors are amazing.
It is really, and here are plates.
Oh yeah!
They really do a lot of different things. These are for your Christmas tree ornaments. They're really doing a lot of good work in here. Here are some.
Yeah, bookends or just decorative pieces. Wow. Oh, nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
I wonder if do they still have the studs? They used to do some great studs. In fact, I wore mine today just because I knew you were at the factory.
There's no studs I can see, but there's bracelets, there are hand-drop earrings. I can see bags and slippers, and they're doing.
Excellent.
They want you to see.
Oh, good. Okay. Yay! Nice. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. That is really, truly special, Tatiana, that we get to see the inside of Kazuri, because Kazuri is, it's one of those iconic flagship WFTO shops and organizations, right? They've been around for such a long time, and like you said, their story is such a powerful story, and it's the place that you go to buy those gifts that will keep giving. It's not just for the person who has received it, but it's just knowing that where they were made, how they were made, by whom they were made is so special. It's so special. So actually that sort of goes really well into the conversation that we're going to be talking about today, which is how are we making our choices as consumers, and where are we choosing to spend our money? And as we do that, when we see a particular price, right? Like for us, especially in Kenya, Masimbonge, you can tell us whether that's the same in South Africa. We have all these different crafts markets, and in Nairobi, we refer to them as Maasai markets because it was all of these Maasai women. Maasai are a Kenyan people who are very well known for their beadwork. So, like this kind of necklace I'm wearing today is typical Maasai beads, but not necessarily the style. But they do a lot of work with small beads, and they do these amazing necklaces and bangles and headgear and decorative pieces. But you go to these markets and you find, beaded sandals, you'll find all these bracelets that I was telling you about. And what is also very typical is that you'll go there and you'll talk to the women and the men that are selling, and you'll always bargain. In fact, when you leave the place, it's almost as if you were told that this piece is costing, these sandals are 3,000 shillings. You start saying, no, that's too high. You need to give us a discount. So is that the same in the markets in South Africa, Masimbonge? Is that typical?
Yes. It is very typical for customers to try to hammer the price down. But I think it goes back to how you treat each other as customers. When you are selling something to a customer, you're not only selling the product, you are selling the experience. So it is very important to try and have those conversation with your customers as to why they should not kill you as a producer of the product. So it is very likely for a customer to try and bargain the price.
Yeah, so and it's interesting, Fred, because you see, at least in Kenya, typically the bargaining happens in the market, right? But the minute somebody is in a shop, nobody questions that. Tell us your thoughts on that, Fred. What do you think is behind that? I don't know whether it's the psychology, whether it's the mentality with that. How come when we're in the market, we're busy, this is too high. And then when we walk into, let's say, an Ndugu Fair Trade shop, because you're in a permanent structure, suddenly the price that you give, we just take it and we say, okay, fine, let's pay for it.
Yeah, Kenji, of course, it's typical of an African market for people to bargain. But then we also know that information is power. And we find that some of the established shops like Undugu shop, that the clients who come there already have information on Undugu. And they come there with a mission to support the work of Undugu. So to them, price is not the driving force. And when they walk in, they just want to see a product that they can buy and pay for it. And that is very, very inspiring. We also say that the best visitor in your business is the consumer, the customer. And what we always say in our shops, that we celebrate on the next visit, not the first visit. So the next visit and the frequent visits, then we start picking story. He becomes part of the family. So once you are part of that family, it's not easy for you to go there and start bargaining over a price because you have information. And I think that is the biggest challenge that we have. We need to give out information, because we believe that once the consumer has the information, he has a lot of power to support and choose fair trade and select a product that he knows that this product is going a long way in supporting the livelihood of people involved in that chain. So it's fantastic, because we also have our products in Kazuri shop where that is one of our outlets that is selling a lot in the domestic market. So we keep on, we put there small shelves. They have given us small shelves, but we make a lot of sales there, because a lot of clients who go to Kasuri, they have information of about Kazuri and how they are treating workers and what they are doing.
Yes.
So the price is not an issue. The price is normally not an issue. And we think that a lot of people are willing to help our cause if only they have the information of what we are doing. It's not like because what you are referring to as Masai Market, we receive a lot of visitors, and when we take them there, we know that we have also a lot of brokers in those kind of setups. So we understand that you bargain down by 3 times, and that is a tip that you give them. I also know out of my experience that most of the products that are on the Masai Market have not been fairly sourced. And that is because these are the products that are maybe I give an order to a group and then they overproduce. So what I tell remaining, if it's lying in stocks, the producers are happy to give it at any price. They give it, they don't even cost it. They look at their immediate need. So if their immediate need is $1 today, and somebody comes in with $1, then they'll give about 10 pieces for $1, which I've paid for 100. And that is how the traders are in those markets love those kind of things. So it's, to me, it's not always that they are also supposed to receive their word, but I believe their word through that bargaining is part of the aspect of going to the market.
Okay. Now, Joseph, tell us a little bit about how Africa Monitor is part and parcel of this conversation around getting information. Because Fred said that information is power, and that is so true, right? That when people are walking into these WFTO shops, be they Kazuri, be they Undugu, be they Kitengela here in Nairobi, that they're going armed with information. So how is Africa Monitor helping to get that information out there? And is it something that you're doing on your own, or is it something that you're doing collaboratively? Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you so much for this question. I think before I answer that one, let me comment on the first question you asked my colleagues. For me, I really feel bad when we go into this informal market and then we start bargaining. But when we are in this established shop, we just pay without questioning. I think it's not really appreciating what people are doing. And I always see it from colleagues, from friends. When you go to buy tomatoes at the street, a lady, a young woman or an old woman who is taking care of her 4 kids alone, but you really want to make sure that you pay the little money. But when you're in this established shop, big ones, which sometimes don't really need your little money, those shops where you will not see the impact of supporting them, but you pay straight away. We see this when even we try to employ people, we pay little. I think it's something which I'm happy that you are mentioning it. It really needs to change. Coming back to your question, and as I mentioned earlier on, African Monitor, we are a continental organization. We have been there since 2006, and our main work is to work by bringing strong additional African voice to the development agenda, by making sure that citizens have the capacity, they have the platforms and opportunity also to participate in decision making. So some of the past activities we have done includes like a citizen-led advocacy, where we empower people themselves, people who are at the grassroots level, poor people. We empower them so that they can be able to speak for themselves. We also help them with the citizen-generated data, where we help them to collect data on issues affecting them, and then using those data, we help them to do the advocacy. We did some work in Kenya, in Nairobi, and some of the township. And then also we try to strengthen their voice. And then on your other question on what we are doing, we recently got into partnership with WFTO, And we have, for the past 2 months, we have been working on establishing a coalition in South Africa, which promote fair trade. So far, we have around 16 civil society who have joined, and it's just started. We are still talking with them so that they can really understand why fair trade. Because our main work is about SDGs, and we've found that you cannot really attain the Sustainable Development Goals without fair trade. So what we are trying to do in that coalition, they are joining resources and forces so that people understand why fair trade, but also how can we improve on our lifestyle. We have been meeting, and then some of, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the objectives of the coalition is first to educate and mobilize civil society on fair trade practices. And we did already 2 trainings on the 10 principles of fair trade. And you could see participants, they were kind of surprised. There are things which we've never thought, and then which are really interlinked with the SDGs. We also, one of the other objectives is to engage civil society on fair trade practices, which promote the creation and preservation of sustainable jobs. And now, then also,
sorry for interrupting you. Is this something that our listeners can be able to find, like on your website? Is there a website that they can go visit so that they can read up some more? Is there some information on maybe even some of your social media handles that are letting our listeners today know some of this work that's happening, and even a little bit more about this coalition? Because if you can tell us that, then they can go ahead and they can pick up all of these things, and we can even put it on that little black ticker that you can see at the bottom. And I hear, which I think is really exciting, Masimbonge and Tatiana, you're asking your audiences about your view on pricing. And when it comes to ethically sourced products, what are your views on that? So, Tatiana, if anybody has said anything back, let's hear what they have to say. And even you tell us your view as a consumer. Go for it.
Yeah, surprisingly, I didn't get any bad comments, to be very honest with you. I mean, everybody is behind this sort of movement, and everybody's trying, well, at least everybody who commented is trying to make a difference and trying to, help where they can. So that was a lot of the major response that I got from my comments, and it was really pleasantly surprising because, I don't know, I was expecting a little bit more back and forth, but it's really nice to see that how everybody's kind of going in the same direction and wanting to help out and, just make this world a better place, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, what was your other question?
My other question was, what was your view as a consumer? Does it go back to what Fred was saying, where you have you have quite a lot of production that ends up being at really almost throwaway prices to the producer, whereas when they go to the market, there's this massive markup. And so because you're in the market, you're thinking, oh, well, I'm in the market. It's expected that we're going to bargain for this stuff. So, let the games begin. What do you think about that?
I mean, I definitely think that, a few years ago, my thing would have been, we're in the market. This is just what you do. You go in there and you bargain. And I think one of my experiences, to be quite honest, is the fact that prices will be marked up because of how I look and how I talk. So also in that respect, you go somewhere and they're charging you extra, and that also is just not fair. So that's a whole conversation that needs to be had with both parties. And I think the reason that somebody can go into a shop and find that they're not bargaining is because they know everybody's going to get it at the same price, no matter where you come from, how you look, how you sound, whatever it is. So I think that was also a really big reason that people don't bargain in shops. And then also I think in this point in time, now that I am, an adult earning my own money, I I now also understand what it is like to not be paid fairly. And once you go through that, you also understand the fact that you're trying to support a mom with her kids, you're trying to support whoever it might be, and you don't want to be that person. What that person did to you, you don't want to see that being done to somebody else. So that is now really a big thing that plays into my head anytime I enter wherever I'm going. So even if the prices may seem high to me, who am I to bargain with what somebody's worth? I might not be able to afford it, but that doesn't mean that I should now start bargaining their prices. I'll come back when I can afford it. Basically,
that's a powerful statement. That whole thing, when we had our very first session, Musa, who works for WFTO in South Africa, I'm going to do this, and you guys can start thinking about this. We always say, give us your parting shot, right? What's going to be your parting shot before we finish this session?
Yeah.
And she said, be your brother's keeper. And what you said just really resonates with that. How are you treating the person who is putting themselves out there, whether it's in the form of the product that they've created or whether it's in the form of the service that they've provided? How are you treating them in your choices in this whole, let me beat down on the price because I can, rather than, oh my gosh, this is the value that you have put on it, and I should respect that because I would want that same treatment done back to me. So powerful statement over there. And we're looking at some of these comments that have started to come in. Linda Murithi has said it's important to tell the story on what is being made in order to attach to consumers. She's also said that she loves Kazuri beads. Thank you for your comments, Linda. Sylvain Cordil has said, thank you to all fair traders and to all fair makers. I love that. Mito has said, awesome. Sylvain has also said, thanks WFTO Africa for all of your engagements. We're based in Reunion Island, and we're structuring our fair trade organization by developing our members of the NGO. I don't speak French, but it's something to do with environment and reunion. And we're trying to co-create the Indian Ocean Fair Trade Platform. That's fantastic. Sylvain, that's excellent. One of the things that we talked about in our very first session was the fact that all of this, it requires solidarity. It requires pulling together and working together. And I think, Joseph, you've also mentioned the fact that there's this coalition of civil society organizations in South Africa that are doing this. So it's great to see that this is even happening, Indian Ocean fair trade platforms, that this is happening. We know that there's a big movement in Europe that's taking place. There's a whole thing around fair trade towns that happens internationally. So it's fantastic. Great things happen when people pull together. Miriam Dutoit, I hope that's how you say your name, Miriam, has said that Africa Monitor, in partnership with WFTO, are addressing critical issues and opening up ethical issues of trade. And thanks very much. So keep your comments coming in. Thank you so much for them. And Tatiana, I'm just going to pick up with that. We seem to have lost Masimbonge, because I would really like to hear from him, because he's a young farmer, right? Masimbonge is from South Africa, and he is actually a mechanical engineer by training. And then, he didn't find employment within that space, but he decided, you know what, we have land. In Kenya, we call it shags, when you have land in the village away from the cities. Mm-hmm. And so he went back to his village and started farming. And not only is he farming, he's farming sustainably, and has even provided and created employment for other young people to join him in this journey. So it would be great to hear from him, whether that's something that, is he getting any kind of pushback from people? Are they saying, we don't want to pay extra for your spinach because it's organic, we just want to pay the usual? When he comes back on, we'll ask him those questions. But Fred, back to you, and Ndugu shops, and what you were saying about the fact that, unfortunately, very often we find that our producers, right, our artisans, even our farmers. I worked for a long time within the fair trade movement, and had the pleasure of talking to a lot of different producers. But you have mentioned something that's very salient, and we see that even in agricultural produce, right? You have overstock And when the overstock happens, you just want to push it out the door. And like you said, a lot of our producers are reacting to their needs of today, of this particular moment. And they're not taking into consideration the time, the price that went into the whole production. So whether it's in tomatoes, or whether it's in maize, or whether it's in beadwork, you have a lot of this happening. And how do we stop that from happening? How do we get our producers access to these markets where there is a fair price, where there is this fair treatment? Let's talk a little bit about that, Fred. How can we be able to solve part of this problem? And again, keeping in mind that, you know, what you said about consumers knowing, right? And consumers making those choices because you said it really well. You said that there's mission buying. Yeah. They're in through those doors because they're on a mission. And when they're on that mission, they're going to pay the price that has been asked of them because they understand. And so going back to your phrase, you know, your point about information is power. How do we also inform our producers so that when they're able to put these products out there, that they're also doing so to a market that appreciates what it is that we put in? Fred, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
Yes, there you are. Now we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, it's quite an unfortunate issue about the situation with the producers and farmers. Last evening, I was just listening to the tea crisis in the country, where the prices are falling. They were initially 21, they are now being offered at 6 shillings. It is quite pathetic. But these are the realities that we have. One of the reasons that we as Fairtrade try to sort the artisans is when we walk them through the production process and try to advise them not to overstock or to overproduce. But an essential thing that we find with most of our producers is when they have work running all through, then they don't fall in those kind of situations where they need to dispose of their stocks at a throwaway price. Because we've seen practically, we've seen days like right now, the government has announced students to go back to school on 12. It's an ambush to parents. And even if they say there is an artisan who is producing, is now out looking for the money to meet the immediate need of fees. And that is what the brokers take advantage of. I'll give you a story of a Turkana basket. This was some times back in early 90s, where down here we used to have in Nairobi a very good Maasai market. It was kind of a permanent, but the basket was selling at 1,500. So apparently when we made a trip to Turkana, Lodwar, and we met some of the people who had gone to buy those baskets from the open market, we were actually paying the women about 150 shillings per basket. And once they arrived in Nairobi, it was selling. After bargaining, they'll put a markup that is higher, but they were selling generally at 1,500. We found this quite uncomfortable for us. That became a main issue with us, to go and empower the women in Turkana, to walk them through the costing process and tell them that they must make sure they ask for this right price, even in terms of when they are in a big need. So these are situations that we find most of our farmers, most of our producers in. And as I said, that what we need to do to sort out that issue is if we are moving a lot of sales, if a lot of consumers are buying these products, then it means at the right price, then it means that the producers and the farmers will have work going through and they are assured of a good price. I know, like in the Fairtrade International, they offer bonuses and premium direct to farmers. And this shows them not to offer their produce at a throwaway price. So it is something that we believe that if we all work together, and as I said, if the consumer is made aware that needs to get his right price, then he's willing also at the end of the at the end of the supply chain, because it's the last person, the last link,
Right.
he will
Yes.
know what kind of price he needs to get for the product that he needs. And this is very important. And as I said, that we need now to do a lot of information, a lot of marketing campaign, a lot of awareness creation about this concept of fair trade that can spread up to each and every individual. We don't only
Absolutely.
limit those people that are being involved within the fair trade chain, but we are looking
Correct.
at the entire population, because our purpose is to fight poverty. And we can only fight poverty if these people are getting what is rightfully that can improve their livelihoods. And that should be the main aim as we discuss upon this. So we look upon the people who are supporting the farmers and the artisans, but at the same time, we need to package ourselves that we reach out to the person who is going to buy this product. And this is very, very essential, yes. Because as we read about fair trade, we find that some countries, that fair trade consumption has grown maybe from 10% to 60%. These are very good stories. So you hear about Switzerland and all those countries in Germany, how the fair trade is spreading, the consumption of fair trade products is increasing. And this should be an aspect that we in Africa should also be appreciating, because we believe that creating a domestic market is the strongest thing that can ever happen, because we'll have a consumer who is informed, buying our own food, and making sure that our farmers, our artisans are getting good value for their inputs.
Absolutely. Now, I'm happy to see Masimbonge back, but Fred, you've raised some really powerful points around, first of all, making sure that, as you said, information is power, right? It's the difference between that 150 shillings that those women in Turkana were selling their baskets for and that 1,500 that the consumer in Nairobi was ready to pay, right? So if there is information and if there is transparency within these supply chains, then there can be less of that big gap, right, between the producer and the consumer. And the call is to all of us. How can we go ahead and know that this is what is happening? How can we get additional information about this? How can we make better choices that are, as somebody had, as you had said yourself, that are mission based in our buying? And as Rain told us when we were speaking on Monday, that thing that makes you feel good, but knowing that whatever it is you're buying is also something that is going to be good for somebody else. Masimbonge, we were talking about this whole thing of bargaining. Some people would want to call it negotiating. I don't know, but how has that been in your space as a farmer? How are you seeing that? Are people coming back to you and telling you your spinach is too expensive because it's organic? How are you coming up with your prices? How are you connecting to your market when you're doing all of this stuff? Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you for Yangesh for your question. We haven't been struggling with bargaining, because I think this goes back to the issue of educating your customers. No, when you are selling something to someone, that those smaller conversation you have with them, it makes them easy for them not to try and kill you as a business person. No, if you allow me, Wangeshi, I've asked my followers to have their opinions on this. So, if you'd allow me to read some of the comments that they wrote on my Instagram page. So, someone was saying this is unfair because in most time customers, they don't do this thing in big retail shops, so it's unfair for them to try and negotiate prices. Someone else was saying that means this thing is annoying of customers trying to negotiate prices. But I think the most important thing on this is the education that you as a producer give to your customers. Right. If they know why they buy stuff from you, then you will not be bothered by that. And also, as a producer, be fair in terms of pricing your produce, because if I'm selling cabbage or spinach, I'm not the only one who's selling that. So for sometimes it comes from a good place, because when someone is trying to negotiate price, they are saying in a way, no, can you reduce this price, because I know someone who's selling this for a lesser price. So I want to buy from you, but can you please reduce the price? So yeah.
Now tell your followers to tag us on this, and they can tag you within part of this conversation so that we can continue having this conversation going. And our hashtag is #IChooseFair, #IChoose fair price, #IChooseFair treatment, #IChooseFair trade. So many. Just pick one of those. It'll be good.
Will do.
And Tatiana, you know, you're there in Kazuri. You're seeing these beautiful beads. You know the Kazuri story, which you shared with us about all these women who are providing for their families, who are back on their feet because they are in a place where they have, you know, they're being paid fairly, they're being treated well, but more importantly, not more importantly, but also part of what they're doing is creating these beautiful, beautiful pieces, whether it's jewelry or ceramics. In fact, this is a Kazuri. You see, I don't know if you guys can see this. It says Kazuri, Kenya. It's a World Fair Trade Organization mug that was made by Kazuri, right where you are. So, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, just the whole question. I mean, you've seen the work that's going into it. So give us a little bit of, you know, what's your take in seeing all of this and knowing that sometimes people can buy individual beads, and when they buy individual beads and they make these pieces, they might find themselves in that situation where they're being told, hang on a second, I don't know that I like the price that you've given this, and everybody's trying to hammer them down. So tell us what you've seen and what you think of just that whole process. Tatiana, I think you're still on mute. Please unmute yourself. There. No. Let's see. Are you still on mute? Maybe our technical people can help sort us out. Okay. We'll just wait for Tatiana to come back on. And while we wait for Tatiana to come back, maybe Joseph, you can tell us. Well, okay, here's Tatiana. And now? Say so. No, now it's showing that you're on mute. And if you unmute yourself, we can't. No, still can't hear you now. Although your picture is so nice and clear, it's a bit frustrating because I don't see the little mic on mute on your screen. So I'm not sure what's happening with the sound. But we can see you, but we still can't hear you. So hopefully. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure you'll sort that out with our technical team, and we'll see you back soon. Joseph, tell us a little bit, and don't forget to unmute yourself. Tell us a little bit about your experience as a consumer. You know, you've been working with farmers in all these different countries. You've been working with all sorts of producers in these different countries. What's your take as a consumer? Not even as Joseph with Africa Monitor, just Joseph as a consumer. What's your take on this discussion that we're having today?
Thank you so much. I think as a consumer, as colleagues also mentioned, they need information. They need to be educated so that they can make informed decision. But also we involve forgetting that some consumers really, they want to make sure that they maximize on their side, and then they give the little. So I think with also the experience I have gotten, but also with my work, I think education is still important, because I can give you an example. When we hold our
Right.
first and second workshop with organization, and those organizations are working with consumers. Some are in the farm, they work with farm workers. You could see that fair trade is it is still it's still a new topic, but after they have gotten information, people tend now to really to work towards fair trade into their actions, into the way they consume, but also even the way they interact. If they have even you can have a worker who's working for you, you tend really to change the way you treat them, and then the way you even pay them. So I think education it's important.
That's a great point. And Tatiana, I'm happy to see that you're back on. Please go ahead and tell us a little bit about. Well, I guess answer the question that we were talking about.
I think she's back.
Yes,
I'm back. Sorry.
Yes, and we can hear you.
Okay, good. Good. I was going to agree with the fact that I think education is key, because once you understand the reason as to why you would buy something, once you understand how you're helping, I mean, that definitely is a big motivation to buy a certain product. And for me, I think personally, it's just there's this balance between trying to be able to afford something, and then also, you have a lot of other things pending at home, taking care of kids' bills, whatever. So you're trying to also go out and buy the cheapest you can buy, just because financially that's just how you're set up, which is unfortunate, because, obviously if I had the choice, I would always be buying something like Kazuri, where I'm able to help out, get beautiful products in the same time, and just help the world as well. So, I mean, there's always just trying to find that balance. And if I could, 100%, this is what I would be supporting 24/7, if I could financially afford that. But unfortunately, the case is that a lot of these companies, like, prices are a bit higher than you would find in other places. And I don't know if we could bridge that gap. I mean, I don't know how we can fix that.
I mean, and that's also a good point that came up, in one of the discussions that we were having earlier, but it's still very, very relevant to today, which is there, because sometimes some people assume that because it's been fairly produced and fairly priced, that it's going to be way above the usual. But actually, it doesn't have to be. I think it's a decision that the brand owner typically makes, in how that ends up being priced out. We have there's a local shoe company that does these beautiful shoes. They're leather sandals, and she just recently recalled a lot of her shoes because she wants to go ahead and have on her e-commerce platform. On her social media handles, what the recommended wholesale price is and what the recommended retail price is. Because sometimes that's what producers can do. They can put it out there. You can buy a soda, for 100 shillings, or you can buy a soda for 300 bob, depending on where you're buying that soda. But you know that Coca-Cola or Pepsi or whatever have their recommended retail price. So that even as you're going in as a consumer, you have an idea. And that's also the thing. Not that I don't know about their sourcing practices. We won't get into that, but we'll go into something where, as we were pointed out to the last time, which is look for those different labels that tell you something about transparency in their supply chains. So that when you're looking for that tea, right? Tea is still a very popular drink here at home in Kenya. The coffee drinkers are increasing in number. But when you go out there to buy your tea, look for that fair trade mark. Look for that rainforest mark. Look for that UTS mark. When you're trying to buy that tea or coffee, buy local. Because again, that supply chain is a bit shortened because it's something that's being locally produced. So these are just some of the things for us to think about while we're out there. And as we remember that we're making choices. If we can be mission-based in our buying, if we can choose where we're spending that money, because at the end of the day, it needs to be, you need to buy food, you need to buy drinks, you need to buy clothes. And if you're able to make those purchasing decisions, and you're sort of, you're voting with your wallet when you're making those choices. And it's true. Whenever something is too cheap to be true, there's a problem. Whenever something is also too expensive, there's also a problem. And that when I'm saying all of this, I'm again quoting Rain Morgan, who we had on our session on Monday. But it does actually give us all some very serious, some food for thought with all of that. We have some more comments over here. I'm going to read those, and I'm going to come back to all of you guys to give us your parting shot. But before we go into that, Sylvain has said that bargaining is a cultural fact, but we can also bargain on our issues too, so that they can pay a fair trade price as a conscious act. Margaret Mbai has said it's ironical that we bargain at kiosks but pay whatever big supermarkets ask for. That's something for all of us to think about. Sylvain also says it's hard to make everybody understand. So it's important for us to organize as in consumer groups so that we can have minimum orders. He's I don't know if I've said this right, but Snetemba, I hope that's how you say that, says, thank you, Joseph. Indeed, as consumers, we need to be educated about prices, raising those to help our producers or our businesses locally. WFTO has said about we're bargaining with our wallets. So thank you again for everybody who's been tuning in today, who's tuned in previously. I see Trading for Development has sent us greetings from Oxford. Trading for Development, the challenge is still out there. You need to send us pictures of your fair trade products, because remember, there's still some prizes to be won. So Masimbonge, Tatiana, tell your listeners to tag us with a fair trade product, and they have a chance to win. The more pictures we have of people with their fair trade products, then the higher the chances are for them to win a fair trade product. There's even something from Kazuri, where you are right now, Tatiana. There's something that was won from Undugu previously. So get people to go ahead and tag us and let us know what's going on. We're going to read one last comment, and then after that, we're going to have everybody give us their parting shot. Actually, the last comment is also, Trading for Development says, sometimes design could help. There are different markets in our case. To the people who made, for example, the city of Oxford a fair trade city, the people who campaigned are not exactly more affluent, but key is the story. And I think that one of our comments earlier on was around making sure that you tell that story that can connect to consumers. I think even Masimbonge, you talked about that when you tell your buyers about what's behind it and why you're pricing it the way you're pricing it, that you'll get that difference. But Joseph, go ahead and give us your parting shot. Go for it. What do you want all our listeners to hear from you? What's your parting shot to us today?
Thank you so much for this conversation. Before I give my parting one, I just want to really thank our young farmer here.
Yes.
Because most young people, they don't value agriculture. They think it's an old thing or for old people. But I want to tell them, among all of us here, Masibonge has already made his money this morning by selling the first spinach. Can you imagine? As we haven't make any money, but him already, before even joining this conversation, he has sold already some spinach. So that is one thing. Then on our topic, really, I've noticed that people are becoming more and more conscious about that our actions can have an effect on the earth, on the environment, and also on climate change. So we have one earth. We should try our best to take it seriously. So people are increasingly embracing activities or behavior which are more towards sustainability, such as some are becoming vegetarian or vegan, but also others are cutting on meat consumption. So maybe I'm not calling everyone to be a vegetarian, but also to look at our activities, to look at our actions, because you may wonder what my action can have, how can one action can have an impact. But if myself, I took action, you take action, and other take action, it will have a really big impact. So one thing is, let's have a look at how we do our shopping. Do we buy things we need? The clothes we buy, do we really need them? How do we go to work? Do we drive? Can we use the bicycle? Can we walk at work? There are many things we can do which can change many things. So thank you so much for this conversation, and I hope we keep on having more in the future.
Thank you, Joseph. And Tatiana, would you like to give us your parting shot?
I think mine sounds a bit corny, but really it would just be the quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And I just really think it's
and there's nothing corny about that. There's nothing corny about that at all.
That's my mantra at the moment, and it's something that I'm really trying to teach my kids. And I just think it's so important to be able to take care of others the way you can take care of yourself, and just try and change this world and make it better for everybody involved. So yeah, that is my parting shot.
Thank you. And Fred, what about you? Give us your parting shot. And don't forget to unmute yourself first. Fred, you're on mute. Yes, tell us now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my parting shot is, let us all be caring and responsible for each other through the model of fair trade, which takes care of everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. Masimbonge, now you're the one to wrap it up for us. What's your parting shot today?
First of all, I would like to say thank you for having me on this live session. It's been an honor to be here, and yeah, my parting shot would be, let's all choose fair price, let's all choose fair treatment, and yeah, let's respect
absolutely.
each other.
It's true. It's true. And all of you have echoed in similar words the same thing. Let's treat others how we would want to be treated. Let's respect each other and our environment, but also let's continue to be our brother's keeper, right? And also to take care of what it is that we have because of future generations. But thank you all so much for being on this session today. I think that what I would like to just say in conclusion and to everybody, and I'm going to echo Musa's words. She said this to us on Monday, which is, it goes back to what you said, Tatiana. You be the change that you want to see, right? And it starts by influencing the people in your immediate circle. That's where that education begins. That's where that mind change begins. It's by it's starting with the people who are in your immediate circle. So the challenge is to everybody listening and who has joined us today or has joined us in the past, influence your immediate circle. Start that change there. Let's choose fair. Let's choose fair treatment. Let's choose fair prices. Let's choose fair trade. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Shaida. I choose fair trade. I choose fair trade. I choose fair trade. I choose fair trade. I choose fair trade.
We are New Hope Cooperative and we choose fair trade.